realized that we were getting recorded. We stopped it, but now we can get started. Okay. So top of mind, lot of news. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the news today because last time when I went there, it was 30 minutes in no time. But if you have one question or if you want to discuss something or if you found something amazing, you will be we can spend 5 minutes. We have to cut this discussion at 9:15. And before we go there, it's Shilans. But a lot happened last week. Search GPT, please read the blog, please see their mocks, please see their demos, read the paper on Llama 3.1, Mistral Large, and how DeepMind is able to beat Olympiad level math reasoning. So reasoning is the frontier I am super excited about, and I want these models to go. And there, one thing that DeepMind did was amazing. So let's do that study, and maybe we'll discuss them next time, more depth. But all this happened last week, so a lot of to catch up for all of us.
Yeah. So for on my side, I just have a quick announcement. And I think I saw like a lot of new people here, and like some of you like reach out to me and they discover this community, and then they were like, "Oh, I didn't know that Hamesh has a course." And yes, Hamesh has a course on Marvin. So I must be doing a bad job. So anyway, and our cohort, by the way, is we'll have the second cohort in mid-August. So if you want to apply right now, is a good time to apply. And I think I'll also address one of the most frequently asked questions here. We addressed the other one like last time. This time is like, if I am not a technical PM, can I join the cohort? I mean, I have my answer, but I think I will also let Mahesh answer because it's like, oh, you must be scaring people off. So there you go.
Parinita should answer that. I have answered it enough. Parinita, go ahead.
I think if I can join, you can join. I'm also nowhere close to technical PM.
Oh no, you're very close actually.
But with help of Mahesh and the other cohort members like Mahesh Kaikwad and
Yeah.
Priyanka and Daidupia is not here and Sham. So I learned a lot from them. And I still have a long way to go, but definitely, yes, do take the leap of faith and join the course. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we will be failing on our mission. I think Parinita, me, Mahesh, the people she named. It's not like this is a course. I think this is a gang you join, and our gang's mission is that we want to bring a lot of people to ML and AI. And if we can only bring people who already know ML and AI, then what's the purpose? I think we will have an identity crisis then. So if you're still thinking about that, please, it's our core value, and we are here, right? And you can start with the community. You see that we go till like, we don't just say billion parameters. We try to say why billion parameters and why having more parameters matters. And we will go and break this down even further in the course. That's where we spend like almost an hour just explaining these basic things, so that your fundamentals become stronger, and then we can build on top of it. I wanted to get down comparison analysis. Harsha wants to do a lot of things. We will take them as a backlog. But today is the very exciting day because I'm going to do something that we do on the very first week. And I know all of you forgot. So thank you for joining, especially Catherine, Salmans of the world. And today will be a fun day. We're going to do rule based versus where are the weights and biases stored. They are stored in the model. So the model parameters, when you dump the model checkpoints, Harsha, when you checkpoint a model, the checkpoint of the model is basically a dump of weights and biases. So when you get a model, when you download the model, you are basically downloading. They will say download the model checkpoint, and the model checkpoints is weights and biases. I did product DN down on. I did a product tear down of Search GPT. Oh, great! Can you put a link here? We would love to read. I think people will love to read. Just put a link. Uh,
Mahesh, I'm sorry, I don't know what a model checkpoint is. Can you please
so,
educate?
yeah, yeah. So it's just called a checkpoint. It's a term, and checkpoint is any time in the model training stage. So you have these weights and biases getting trained. So this is a weight one at time t. The value of weight is one, and then you train it with another one. Then time two, the weight two value, and then at a certain point you can say store these values. That time is called checkpoint in like technical terms, and that time you just store all these values of weights and biases, and that store is called your model. So when people say download the model, they're actually downloading the at that point in time weights and biases value or that checkpoint. So if you go to Hugging Face, or if you look in our code, people who are in our cohort, if you look at when we downloaded the Pi3 model for fine tuning, we actually downloaded the checkpoints, and the checkpoints are nothing but at that point in time weights and biases value, which is nothing but parameters stored in terms of integer and float.
Okay.
Good.
So, Mahesh, perhaps we should go into the main topic today, which is like solving the dilemma of product manager.
9:15, we go
Yeah.
9:15. 9:15, we have a luxury to do whatever we want. 9:15, after that, Shilan has made sure that I don't go here and there, and I deliver. For here and there, please join Fridays. So yesterday we met Shilan, and we missed you so much because we spent 30 minutes doing something that we were even not supposed to, but it was so much fun. So we went ahead and we said, okay, no moderation in this call. So that was fun call. Uh, but this is not, this is where we will focus. Sridhar will take last question from you, and then we will move on to rule versus ML based today.
Thank you, Mahesh. Looking forward to this session. Now, you talked about weights and biases as a parameters, right? What about the actual variables itself that are being applied these weights and biases on? Is there a category or a name for those variables as a part of
So
the
the
model?
variable is weights and bias. So variable is the weight. Variable is
Oh,
the bias. There's
Okay,
nothing.
so
in the model. So the model has only four things you can think of that you actually play with. You play with. So this is the output that you get. This is the input you provide, and then this is a variable called weight, and this is a variable called bias.
got it. Okay.
These are
So
these
that's the variable.
changing. So if you had a very simple model with this one equation, you will only be changing these based on your input and output. So you provide an output, let's say you provide a sentence and your output is positive, negative, neutral. So your output is 1, 0, 1, 2. And let's say 0 represents positive sentiment, 1 represent negative, 2 represent neutral. And then you can just say, hey, now you have some ground truths and you're changing only weights and biases to make sure this is what the ground truth is. And this technique is called supervised learning because you are supervising its learning because you already know the output. And when it doesn't give the output, you go change weights and biases to reach the output. And when people say variables, they loosely are saying weights and biases.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So 9:15, before Shilan takes me and like gives me another whip, let me just get to the topic. Okay, so today we're going to talk about rule-based versus machine learning-based things, okay? So just giving you basic premise, because we want to do a case study and fun things today. Why we are doing fun things today, because Swati joined us and she left. I thought we'll just do it for Swati. Seems like she's not. Oh, Swati is here. Swati, say hi. Because Swati joined, I'm going to do it basics again. So what is a rule-based system? Anybody? Examples. Start with examples, please.
When you
Close
sort
your
of
screen.
don't have to make a decision, right? Like by a model, that's when we call it as like a rule-based system. For example, like, hey, just read my PDFs, right? I don't need you to make any decision.
Read my what?
Yeah,
I don't need you to make any decisions for me. Just read the PDFs that I'm providing to you, just as an example, maybe.
Oh, so an app which reads a PDF loud, it would be a rule-based system. It can somehow read it. So okay, that's a very good example. Any other
Another-
rule-based example? Lead with example. Just keep giving examples. Don't explain rule-based. Give me
Another
example.
example could be, before ChatGPT came, we had a lot of rule-based chatbots.
Great.
Rule-based chatbots.
Workflow-based chatbot. If the user says that, we did it, by the way. We did it for Hilton.
I built
and,
one
what we
in my company as well.
We did that
Yeah.
because we were building a hardware which was speech to text. So the AI was speech to text. But after the text, it was basically a workflow. If the user ordered towel, search regex towel.
Correct.
If towel, then check towel. If towel not present, then send towel.
So you basically make those permutation
Never-
and combinations and store it in your database. And when user puts a query, only that particular combination gets retrieved. Otherwise, probably the call gets routed or the chat gets routed to an agent.
Perfect. One more example of a rule-based system, and then I will
Yeah.
generalize. And
So
I
how
want
about
not in
ATM machines?
yeah.
ATM machines?
Salman, just because you said it, I will let you go. ATM machines. ATM machines is an awesome example. One more person who is not in our cohort.
How about programming a robot to do specific maneuvers and controls?
Perfect. So my son has this thing which basically allows him to go left, right, go do this, 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 and then come back. And he's programming it. He's saying if else loops and programming it. Perfect. So one thing that basically I learned yesterday, mostly all of you are here to teach me. I know you think that is the other way around, but mostly I learn. So this is the advantage of having a course. Yesterday we met, and one thing we learned is that we will lead by examples as just humans are the people in product. So every question, either in an interview or in your product development, if somebody asks you a question, just give a one-liner explanation and then lead with examples. The examples basically is what people want. Stories is how we connect. So we will leading these community and the Friday sessions. If I ask a question, give me examples, okay? And I will do the same. Okay, great. Machine learning based systems, I don't think I need a U. So everything that was built pretty much before 2010 in production is rule based. So all your banks, all your airline systems, everything, how New York Stock Exchange works today, and the whole world, the code, everything that CrowdStrike update could have destroyed is basically a rule based systems. Starting with an operating system. An operating system in your computer is a rule based system. It doesn't do a lot on machine ML and AI. It basically takes an app, converts it, runs it, gives if else to firmware, and firmware goes to hardware. Everything that you see today is rule based. So now ML and AI based, everything you're seeing in last 10 years, like how you get your Facebook feeds, how can I detect how your phone opens the lock if it sees your face. Give me two more examples just to quickly just split the example out. Name.
Your fingerprint on these smartphones could be one.
No.
Maybe fraud
Pattern,
detection.
pattern matching is like means it's a good idea, but I think it's a more like a give me more.
Maybe
Because
Sam,
Detection.
honest.
Go ahead.
Honest, I was saying, sorry. And then
Both of you say together. Let's try it.
I was saying like fraud detection.
Fraud detection. Perfect. Fraud detection. Anything else? ML and AI. Just say it. Recommendation systems.
Siri.
Fraud detection systems. Face detection systems. Object
Classic
detection
types.
systems. Agents. Agentic marketing email sending systems. Systems that can actually answer Q&A.
Voice assistant.
Summarize, voice assistants, Alexas of the world. Everything that we are seeing, which is like super cool, and where people are making more money, or the companies that are getting funded, or the stock exchange that is driving the growth for humanity is ML and AI, except Apple.
Netflix recommend movie recommendation.
Correct. Netflix recommendation system. Please, people in Netflix, watch. Parinita is here. She's doing the job. Please do that. Okay, great. So rule-based versus ML and AI-based systems. I think we now very well understand. I will just go through quickly about the main things that, as a product manager, you should know how these are different. So one is there. I just put it in 4 categories, and you can just tell me the requirement as low, medium, high. Do I need low amount of data or high amount of data, or high or low for data? Rule-based versus ML and AI.
Rule-based is
For
low data.
rule-based will
Low,
And
high.
high.
low.
Why? Because I depend on patterns and I depend on if-else code. So I depend on logic. Why? Because logic doesn't need data. It needs data to test, but doesn't need data to program. Because somebody needs to come up with a logic. Logic was, in our examples, the logic was, hey, if this happens, if somebody gave a very good example, which I wanted to run with, I forgot now, but let's run with if operating system, if this app, then route to this board. If this app, then route to this board.
Rule-based chat.
Rule-based child. If towels, then then call the laundry department. If food, then call the kitchen, right? So that's pretty much it. And that you can do with logic and low. You still need the examples. You still need the use cases to build the test cases, but you don't need data to train. But if you go to pictures, can I put rules on pictures like how many cats are in this picture? Really not, right? Because I need to find patterns, and if I go pixel by pixel and start coding, like if this pixel is this color and that, it's really hard. So I need to find a pattern, and pattern matching needs to be validated with 1,000 or I would say 100K pictures. If you have 100K pictures and you're finding patterns in those pictures, you need to learn the pattern. It's better done with weights and biases and like kind of adjusting it. And once it adjusts, it just splits out. But you at least need 1,000 and 1,000 of pictures. And what we call these data sets, right? And they're public data sets. Can somebody give me a name of a public data set for images? Why you think through, I will move on. You can
Google
do a-
Images.
Google Images, really? No, Google Images is not a public data set. You can't use Google Images because they are taken from other websites. And if you use them, you will be sued. So
Shutterstock.
there are public data sets that people publish. And there is a data
I
set
guess
which
Kaggle.
Kaggle is a platform which actually consolidates these data sets. Hugging Face is another platform that provide you free data sets or consolidate these data sets. ImageNet is the data set which has been used for pretty much everything to start with, has around 1,000 classes. Each class means person, car, truck. And for each class, they have around 10K or so pictures already, which you can use to train and nobody will question you. And then for each category, you will have more and more. Great. Cost of development. Rule-based, we are building it for last 50, 60 years. Every engineer can learn if-else loops. I learned it when I was in 9th standard, if-else loops, and I'm iterating it, and nobody paid me enough. I only started getting paid when I knew how to talk back propagation and transformers and how to say I will change the world. Nobody who knows if-else says I can change the world, but actually they do change the world. If you look at the first version of Facebook or first version of Amazon or the first version of Microsoft, I would say only OpenAI is the company that I know is $1 billion company, which is ML and AI research-based company. Every other company I know of actually was a rule-based company and became $1 billion company just with rules. Why? Because the cost is so low to develop, right? And you can actually solve a use case like Uber. Uber does not need to have like the first versions of Uber were completely rule-based. You really don't need a sophisticated algorithm to have an app which allows you to find a taxi nearby and book it and have your credit card and bill you automatically. While if you wanted to build OpenAI, you first needed $1 billion of funding to even get started, and you needed to fund for $1 billion for 6 years before you can actually launch the product. And you needed the best of like researchers, and you need all the data in the world. So that's what the story of OpenAI. So the cost is really high. Explainability. Can I explain?
Yes.
Perfect, because I can actually go in code, I can put a checkpoint, and then I can walk you through that, hey, you said this, that's why the towel went here. Because if you would have said a towel in a kitchen, then I don't know what to do with it. So actually I send the towels order for the kitchen because you said both the words. Now I don't know how to handle towels in the kitchen request. If I make the same request in the same sentence, then I don't know how to handle it. I can debug it. I can explain it, why the order was routed in a different way, how the flights are running, how people are giving loans, what data in SSN is being monitored by the government or shared with banks. All this is fully traceable. If somebody sues you, any of the government institutions, they are able to explain how you reached here. Can I say low here? You don't know how ChatGPT gave the same answer, right? Even if you try the same prompt 5 times, you get 5 different answers. And no matter who you have behind you, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, they can't get the response either, right? So no explainability pretty much, or very low explainability, especially with the Gen AI models. With ML and AI based models where you actually control the data which it was trained on, you could have got some explainability. But with Gen AI models where somebody else trained it on their data, you are just a user, you get zero explainability for the responses, and they have not provided an API yet which can explain or even tell you anything, right? So if you're using anybody, even the open source model, the llamas of the world, they don't explain anything. They say, here is our response, and if you get different responses, it's by design. Good. Priyanka?
Yeah, I have a quick question. If you have to define, like, in 10 seconds explainability, is this a good definition? Is like basically the decisions made by like the model is what we call as explainability. Is that how you would put it?
Yeah, so explainability, I will put it as if you said positive, a sentiment, which we were talking earlier, a review, and if I say why you said positive, you would be able to explain in code with the debug points and say, hey, it went here, then went here, this weight, this bias actually was trained with these parameters, these reviews. And because this value represented these reviews, and because this value was closest to this, that's why I'm saying this. So show me the
Got it.
clusters you have created behind the scenes of weights and biases for reviews which are positive. And then for those clusters, if my value is closer to that cluster, you just open that and show me. And then I can look at the examples and point that, hey, your model is really crap. Actually, these are not right.
Yep.
Or I can say, wow, great job. I am impressed. You can cluster this. So show me that behind the scenes. And I can, as a user, I can actually see it, validate the result, and give you feedback. That's explainability in a nutshell, Priyanka.
Got it. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
So one of the call out Vishay here, he made a very interesting point. Wonder like what Mahesh think too is like he would say descriptive answer for explainability for AI ML is low, but the prescriptive answer should be high. Linear tracking is very important for explainability. Vishay, I don't know whether you want to come on and join the discussions or.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't want to disturb the chain of thought. I just wanted to say, right, as Mahesh pointed out, yeah, that's the current state. But I thought maybe he was saying, what should the explainability be? So for ML AI, it should really be high because, lineage tracking and responsible AI, you have to be able to track, right, and explain why you came up with the results. So I thought this should be flipped, no? My opinion.
I'm taking the current state. Ideal world is you should need no data, you should have zero cost, and ideal world is you should be able to explain everything like humans do. Like if you ask me to do something, I will be able to do it for you for low cost, like we lived in the world that we lived in. But we do charge a lot of money for the skills that we have. And same way, nobody explains today, but ideally we should be able to explain. So you're right, Vishal, that it should be high, but today, if you're building a product, it's low. So we need to go with where we are today. So this is the state of affairs today. But yes, this is a continuous problem. And if ML and AI actually need to grow, they need to actually work on these two parameters, right? They have to reduce the cost and they have to increase the explainability. And that's why you're seeing every week a new model is getting released, which is trying to reduce the cost, because if the market has a lot of options, the cost goes down. If things become commodities, the cost go down. So yes, we are working, but that's where we are today. The cost is not cheap. Right?
Got it. Thank you. Thanks.
Parinita, go ahead, and then I have the last one.
Yeah, Mahesh, I was wanting to understand if we were to bifurcate ML and AI also separately, can we say that explainability of ML models is high or medium, and AI is low?
You will keep pushing the boundaries for me, right? You won't let me settle now. Okay, this is my cohort, and they just don't want to discuss ML and AI in one block. They want to discuss ML and then AI. Mahesh will be clapping. So because other Mahesh wanted the same. I thought of doing this session exactly with ML and AI today, but then I settled on basics because there are new people and I thought that would be new. So yes, if you are the real PM, you should be thinking in three ways now, because the world has gone into three things, not clubbing these together. So what is data needed for AI? For you to use it, you actually need very medium to low data, right, for AI, because somebody has used the data. Somebody has already scrapped internet. gave you something and you can actually use it. So medium data cost, I would say ML is high. This is medium. That's the world is getting into, right? Because this ML was so hard because of these two. This is taking it to medium, and now everybody's talking or using it. And now explainability is low. I would say the lowest. I can't go low to low other. So this is the lowest, lowest minus minus. So you have zero, you get nothing out of these ones. So that's the disadvantage. And then responsibility, which is the next section. If you want to comply to regulations or build a responsible product, responsible is fair, above than biases, and you can put codes and you can continue to iterate on it. You have the most flexibility here. You have very low flexibility here. So high, I would say, high to adhere, low, and lowest here because you're relying on somebody else, and that somebody else might be have done some crazy things, have used somebody else's data, may have some bisections of some things that your customers will realize when they use it, or you will realize it when you test it. And if you have not done testing, you're exposing it to your customers. So this is the world that we live in. And I don't have a case study. So don't ask me for case study for ML versus AI. We should do it next Friday in our own session, right? Because I wanted to keep it generic. Parinita, did I answer your question first? And Mahesh, am I heading in right direction, explaining how ML and AI are different? Other Mahesh? He's sleeping now. Okay, Sridhar, go ahead.
Just to paint this a little more, Mahesh, can ML part of it be construed as the model training part, where the LLMs are being trained and offered as services, and the AI part is the platform application part, where companies and customers are building their specific use cases and their needs? Is that a separation
Yes,
analogy?
and you should blame Parinita and Mahesh for this, because without explanation, they've just made a row here. So sorry for that. But think of this way. Let's do it. Let's spend like 2 minutes on this. So when I say ML, what I mean is you, as a product manager, got the data. And Sridhar, you are absolutely right. You got the data, you trained the model. And you can go and train the model again, and you train the model from scratch. You had control on all the data, and your company owned the data. Correct? So you trained the model, you have way to detect the drifts. Now you can have tools which can tell you if these are the classes, like positive, negative, neutral in the review example. This is the data I have. So you should not have 2000 positive samples and 5 samples for neutral. And you can look at them and you can say, hey dude, we're not training this model unless you get me at least 1000 neutral also. So those controls you have in ML. The moment you turn in the world of AI, you don't have those controls, because I am giving you a model. I am an AI service. I gave you a model. You send me your sentence and I return. And if you ask me how many neutral examples you took, I say, sorry, this is a non-disclosable information. You will not find that. If you use AWS AI service for sentiment detection, they won't tell you that. If you use OpenAI today, they won't tell you that. So that's the part which I tried to put it as AI. And ML is where you actually build these. Okay, so that's a subtle difference. AI is how you use it. ML also includes building and using, right? So you can create that mental model. Okay, if no more questions, and Vishal, why we picked up on you is because anybody who is new to the community get an advantage. They can just put any question or even say ouch, and we will stop it for them, because that's how we have set the system.
So
You
I
call-
think one more question. I think pulling it from Louis, he asked a related questions on machine learning and ML on the definitions. You know, there's like different definition flowing around. I answer a little bit, but Louis, do you have any more questions on this one?
Louis is driving, so
Okay.
maybe
Or
I
maybe
can take.
he's good. Okay, on that. All right.
Okay, so let me just explain, right? His question is, isn't ML AI anyway? Yeah, we can debate a whole day, because I think some AI and ML are so interchangeable. I don't know when ML becomes an AI and AI becomes an ML. In my own world, in my simple world, I have a very simple mind. All of you can see that. I don't have a lot of complexities. So ML is a way to find patterns. AI is to make them usable. So a data, if you got data, how can you find patterns in the data is machine learning. And how can you use those patterns once you have found them for changing the world is AI. Good. And then the question is, should AI be called only Gen AI? I continue to disagree with that. I think AI can be AI and Gen AI can be generative AI. So AI need not to be generation. Let's say I can just analyze a lot of information and eventually I need to generate something. So you can call it Gen AI. But generative AI is like a little bit more fancy way of saying Gen AI. But imagine, right, I can have a robot which walks on the streets and doesn't say anything. But the walking part is reinforcement learning. And because it walks, it can monitor the security and say if some intruder has come to that property, it can just send an alarm. That would be a good example. But in that case, also you can claim it as Gen AI because, oh, it generates a security thing. Because it generates something, it's Gen AI. It's like a debatable things. But Gen AI on its definition is if you are trying to generate a lot of, like, given a prompt, I can give you a lot of text. Given a lot of text, I can summarize. Or given a prompt, I can generate an image or a video. Those are the things. But analysis, movement, building robotics, building synthesizer, people which can create a new world for you. I think creating new world will still be Gen AI. It's really hard to distinguish them, so I will leave them open. We can debate on some other day. I want to run some case studies. 10 minutes, 2 case studies. Will that be fun? Who's ready? Obviously, Shilan is. Shilan is like, Mahesh, just move on. Okay, let's get to that. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let's do it. Because so now we understood what is a rule-based and machine learning-based system. If we are on the same page, I think we can move forward. Let me move you down because I was talking to you on some other screen and now I have a different screen. So actually I will talk to you now rather than talking to myself on the other side. Okay, great. So now let's go build something which is even fun, which is, let's take a case study. Now you guys are all expert. So let me take a case study. Let's call the Bank of Loans. I am a new PM. I got a job in this awesome bank. And I have a lot of data on people taking loans. So I have a very high data. I just got a VP. Okay. I'm just putting it on 4 categories, right? Cost. I got a new VP who has funded $25 million to become a Gen AI first app bank. This is our single motto, that we are the Gen AI based bank of loans. And we're going to disrupt this whole loan market because we can use Gen AI. Awesome. What was the other one? Data, cost, and explainability. I'm saying, who cares? Explainability. Yeah, if we can do bare minimum, I don't know. He's saying, I don't know. You figure it out. And all the things he's saying, don't know. So his direction is, we have a lot of data. I am funding 25 million. We just hired you. What should you do? You have a lot of like data on all the data, the customer patterns. You also have some data, how things have gone wrong for you, which is you paid the loan and the loan was never paid back. And you are the PM and you are supposed to make a call. I'm not going to give this assignment to you. I'm going to just debate with you here. What call will you make?
So the
Two answers we can
Mahesh,
get is rule-based versus ML-based. Yes, Shilan, go ahead.
the purpose of the app, can you clarify? Is it to like recommend what kind of loans to people or?
Perfect. Very good question. Sorry for that. Purpose is, given input is a loan application and the output is output is loan application of applicants, loan application of Shilan and Mahesh. And this system or this model, I need to say accept, deny, or clarify, RFI. Priyanka can relate to RFIs, but first, more
Yes.
information. So that's the system. It takes a loan application. Anybody can apply a loan on their website. They're marketing their banners everywhere in the world because they are just pushing this new Gen AI based bank of loans. And their purpose is taking a loan application as input and do accept, deny, clarify. Okay, they have money, they have a lot of data. Your job is just to type right now. Think about it. Take 2 minutes. You can ask any more questions. This is like a case study, and I am your case provider. So you can ask me more questions, but at some point you should be locking your answer. Your options are:
What's
will you go
the business goal?
business goal is to make maximum profit. To
Always.
have to
Oh,
have
that's
to have loans which people will pay, and the fastest way to process that, because we are getting the longest, because we have marketed so much, we are getting so many applications, and I don't want to hire a lot of people. Okay, and the business goal is to maximize profit. That means don't give loans to people who can't pay, while give to people who can pay.
So, my quick question on the data. Can you clarify when you say you have lots of data, when you mean you have a lot of loan applications, or you actually have
No,
inputs
I have
and
loan
outputs?
applications. My bank is operation for last 10 years. I have all the humans which have taken loan applications, rejected, approved,
Okay,
or
so
asked for more information.
and
So I have,
outcomes also. Got it.
yes,
That's
so I
amazing.
have exactly the data. This company is not new. We are in 10 years in business, and so far we have around 25 million loans given. Anything else? Okay, take 2 minutes, 9:46, and type your answers so that you can't change them. 2 answers, don't go, just say ML or rule. The answer I'm expecting from you is ML or rule, and then we'll go discuss. And I have one more. Is the purpose of this apps to conduct credit checks? Yeah, you can call credit checks, but credit check is just one thing they make a call on. When you give loans, that's one call. There is much more than that. They look at, like, so my credit can be bad because I'm just an immigrant, but my parents have half of India's land, which they don't, by the way. But then will you not give me a loan? Generally, I get loan. So it's not only like that way, but yes, that's one of the parameters they do have, and they will check. Awesome. White says, okay, good. We are seeing good answers. Okay, Shlan is saying that. Lana, thank you, Lana. Thank you for joining. ML model to learn from historical data. ML, because it can quickly find patterns in credit worthiness and come up with better segmentation and application. AI help to service representation, scale application. It's an awesome. What is Mahesh saying? Mahesh, I'm going to disable his AI assistant if he doesn't respond. No, I'm not going to do any of that. Okay, I think we are ready. What does Amin think? Because Amin has not written his response. I'm going to go with ML. Thank you, Priyanka. ML. Oh, Amin. Salman. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll actually go with rule-based, Mahesh.
Oh, Mahesh is
And
going with rule-based and Salman is going. Okay, let's go with Salman first and then Mahesh. You two fight it out and then see who wins. No punches, please. Okay. So, Salman, why rule-based? What you did?
because
Is already funding you, by the way. So let me just tell you
right,
what is against you. Your VP is funding it. You are the Gen AI company. You are saying we're going to revolutionize the world. Your stock is also up. And we just hired you as a product manager, by the way, gave you a lot of money. And you are saying, hey, for at least this application, let's use rule-based? Tell me more.
Yes. Yeah. Because just because we have the money, I don't think we should spend it. I feel like the difference between rule-based and MLAI will not be too much here. Plus, the accuracy with rule-based will be high, and it might not be that high with ML and AI. So, net, I think the difference won't be that much, and also the explainability factor, right? It will be like much easier
Okay, I want
to
you to make
explain.
one bet. I don't want you to make two bets. Why would you making this bet? Okay, explainability and accuracy. Make one bet. Which one are you more concerned about?
Accuracy.
Okay,
Accuracy.
let's just lock in. Let's not talk about this then. Accuracy. Accuracy. Who can question accuracy? I have data, dude. Like, Mahesh, go ahead. Mahesh, are you there? Mahesh is like, I can't talk now.
Yeah, I
You're
just called. I had to step out for a minute, so maybe someone could help us this for now.
Okay,
Sorry about
anybody
that,
else think that ML would be a good idea? Can debate here why accuracy won't be a challenge? Why accuracy of an ML system will be better than the rule-based system?
Because you have lots of data to validate. You
Correct.
know
A loan
the-
is a very, very subjective thing, right? Because, and you need to look at all the patterns. How many people have actually paid the loans? Sometimes just making a bet on their credit score is a very dumb way. There's no way you can compete with that, because then Wells Fargo will take all the loans. So if you are new, you are innovative, you have to find more ways. And how you find more ways is you find more patterns. You can look at everything out there about me, who are my friends, who do I talk to at Facebook, where I work, what course I am taking and what I'm preparing for. All these will help you make a bet. And a rule-based system cannot process all this at runtime, also cannot process and find patterns across these things. But AI-based system will be able to cluster me to people. So basically, you are building a binary classifier. Will he pay the loan or not? Right? 0 or 1. Or neutral, right? 2. So 3. Not a binary classifier. Binary classifier is it can classify between two things. A multi-class classifier is it can classify more than two things. So ideally, in the loan business, because my friend actually gives loan, he has a company who started and actually sold. He was in YC. So I talked to him about loans, and he's like, Mahesh, the biggest thing we want to do is we want to make the bets where nobody else is going. And he started with immigrations. So he took loans for immigrants. And he said, I'm going to check what they have in the country they are from, who their parents are, what they got the education from, because in US, nobody's using that data. US has not put Indian universities or Chinese universities yet in their loan system. I can go integrate that, and then I make the call. So he actually started lower rates for immigrants. If they're taking their first loan, if they're buying a car, he said, take it from me, I'm going to give you lower rates because I can assure you better. And how he could do better is because he can use ML and AI and take more and more data, find the patterns, and then do it. So I challenge the accuracy piece, Salman, there, but you were on to something really good. So before I go something, can somebody else? I think we are already, ML is very biased, so I won't ask anybody. But I want to challenge few people, and let me see who should I challenge. Actually, Shilan gave a very good tactical answer. So she said that I'm going to look at a model can achieve certain accuracy, stick to rule-based, otherwise you will lose. So let's say, Shilan, you met that. Yeah, that's a very good approach. So always say that. Let me pick on something. Okay, Priyanka is my pick today because I'm not going to pick on new people because obviously.
Sure.
Okay, so Priyanka, tell me more. Why you picked what you thought through, and because definitely you're gonna miss something. I'm not picking on you, White. Also, you should have
Yeah.
picked something else, White. By the way, we should have.
Yeah,
actually
well, I feel that we do have ton of data in-house, right? So I can make a lot of sense of that. I can create patterns. And again, I went for a machine learning system because when we're talking about like handling maybe complexity, I don't know if rule-based system will be able to do that. And we also want a prediction at the end, right? So so these are the two things that I definitely went for machine learning.
okay, I didn't show you. This was my secret. I actually wrote explainability and responsibility. And
Okay.
the VP said, don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know explainability. What is it? And responsibility or regulations. He said, who cares?
Mm.
Right? That's what he said. Who cares? As a PM who is putting his name on this and who's worried about it would think about responsible and regulations, and he will read or she will read the AI Act
Yeah.
that US has published and EU has published, and they have said that if you are a banking system, you are under huge regulations,
Yep.
and you want to see how can you explain if you reject any rule. So your system can be rejecting all the loans of people who are from India, and they will sue you saying, hey, this bank has rejected my loan. They are biased towards people of color. And then you will have to explain, and they will see the data that if Mahesh goes with the same salary and 5 things that you're taking in form, because all I do is fill a form, right? And if I fill the form, exact same numbers, and if you fill the form with exact same numbers, your forms will be rejected and mine won't.
True.
Then if you look at the data behind the scenes, what would have happened is that it's not biased, it just doesn't have enough data for people from India. So it will be rejecting all those applications or biasing you or putting you in some cluster that it doesn't exist or it doesn't know. So you have training problem, you have a training set problem, which results in this. But you can, as a product, okay, we will go there. But that's why I won't go with the rule machine learning based, even if I have more accuracy, even if I have more money, even if I have data,
Yep.
just because I am a responsible AI PM, I will stand my ground and tell him that, dude, we can't do that. What we should do is we should build a scoring system, maybe, which provides a score that other banks can use so that I stay out of regulations, but provide some value. And we should build that app. If you have too much money and if you want to be Gen AI first thing, let's not build it in the bank world. Because if
Yeah.
you're a bank, you're in a highly regulated world.
Yep.
You have to explain each and every decision.
Everything. Okay, so here the main point then is explainability and regulation and compliance.
So
Yeah.
always think 3 things. Start with responsibility, because engineer can fix the accuracy, engineer can fix the cost, and the people can get more funding to get cheaper goods or pay for. But as a product manager, I hired you to answer responsibility and explainability, set the expectation which industry I'm playing with, and if the industry is this and that, that's why I won't go for ML. But let's flip it, let's change it a little bit so that we can still innovate and do things. How can I actually build this? And let's say
But
I
would you
want to
be able
build
to build at scale with rule-based system?
a rule-based system won't be that accurate. I will not have a differentiation. I will be as bad as everybody else. But that's what regulated industries are, Priyanka. There's a reason for it that regulated industries do not innovate. How many times you have seen the biggest innovation in banks? Since I am born, I have not seen anything other than now I
Yeah.
have an app, which I have an app for like detecting frauds, right? So that's pretty much what banks have done to us for last 20 years. I am using banks, correct?
But how about like creating maybe simpler models, simpler ML models?
Yeah, it means don't create ML models, create mathematical models that you can explain. So that's a
Okay.
good answer. That's what they already have, right? So they take all the data, they use simple math, very complex math equation, and that's what they use. Correct?
Yeah.
So just do that. That's my recommendation. But obviously, who am I? You can have your own learnings. But I won't choose ML. And everybody who said ML, you get -1 from me. We have a scoring system.
So how about this? Start with like a rule-based system.
Correct.
Get it defined, get like understanding, get explainability, stuff like that. And then, once you move forward and which involves like making complex decisions on the patterns, then next step would be like ML system.
Awesome. Yeah, take me there, Priyanka. You are taking me there. And what else you need to do? Yeah, yeah. No, you're doing it. Take me there. So yes, we have a rule-based system. Now we have all the data, and then we will have a ML-based system, but we will define the scope of the ML-based system, which will say ML-based system will only work in this geography for these three kind of people with these
Yeah.
three kind of last names. So we will reduce the scope, first of all, as a PM. If
Yep.
I have to do it, second thing I will do is I will go and work with the government to make sure what are the regulations for the banks and change them if something I cannot ship, or look at the regulations, put all the audits. So if somebody sues me, I can say, dude, I did the audits. We are in US. We are the most innovative company. We cannot live in, we are the most innovative country. We push boundaries. We cannot live with this regulation because AI is going to solve things. So
Yeah.
here is the regulations. I have compliant to all of them. I have checks. I look at my data. I publish everything in public domain so anybody can verify. And when you find biases or when you find things, I have an SLA of 21 days. I fix and change them. This is how OpenAI works.
Yep.
This is how I work. And now I'm building a Gen AI bank. But the only thing is, this cost for building a non-regulated way is 10x more than for a regulated way. But the rewards is also 100x. So it's justified. So anybody who said ML, if you want to stick to your answer, please add ** saying we will learn the regulations. We will release it on a very, very small cohort which have this criteria, which will only work for people in California, in this county, especially people who have lived here more than 10 years, were born here, have done this. And we will look at the regulations. Based on regulation, we will publish our bias report, which can be audited openly by any MLN expert and government. And when they find problems, we have an SLA of fixing them in 21 days, else we stop this system.
Yep.
With team. Okay, now we can build products, actually change the world, which has not changed in the last 20 years. Archana, Jigar can question me, and Achint and all other cohort people can answer. Archana, go ahead. Sorry, Jigar, go ahead. Jigar went first and then Archana.
Hey Mahesh, so I have a very basic question here, right? Aren't all the ML systems eventually a rule-based system unless we change the parameters dynamically? For example, in this case, assume we just had 10 data points of a customer, right? And we were to develop a model based on that. It will eventually be a rule-based system, right?
But you don't have 10, right? You have gone to 400 billion parameters. At that scale, you don't know
But
what happened. So you can't explain, and you don't have a rule that if this comes in, then go here. Yes, inside somewhere there is a rule.
Can you explain in this example, right? If I had only loan applications data,
Correct.
how would you describe 4 billion parameters? Like,
yeah. So at some point, right, what your model team will do is, if you give them this task of finding out the most accurate, they will start looking at the data. So first they will say, let's take their SSN number, let's take their all bank transaction, let's say they're all fraud, all the basic things. So they will take rule based, right? Then they will say, hey, let's do a recommendation system, which will recommend loan or not loan. And what's the input to that recommendation system? Who are my friends? What is their income? And then who are their friends? What is their income? Where I live, which school my kids go to, what, and all this is like you can find right about me. So then your researcher can also go and say what I read. That's a good parameter to take, what I read, and then they can classify me into, and then keep on going. So each data source I'm adding parameters, right?
yeah.
So each data source I keep on adding, and at some point you will have a million data sources generating billion of parameters that you are looking for. We call them features now. So you are using them as features to make a prediction. So you know the features that you give, but then you have trained a model on all of these. And the model, only thing you told is there is no rules inside. You said, hey, here is the persona. If these are the features of this personality, which is 1,000 different inputs, the value of Y, you say give X, and you say give me Y, right? And then you have weights and biases, and then you have a function that minimize the loss. That's pretty much all you have. And wherever the loss was lowest, that was the answer you got. And now you don't know, like,
Yeah, what I
How?
was thinking is practically, like, assume this model were to be developed in a bank today, right? In today's world. Do you think
Yeah,
they'll be able to come up with so many features and so many parameters? So, like,
they don't, right? Right now, they
right.
just use a rule-based systems and they
Yeah,
look
because
at
that
like
was that is exactly what I was thinking actually.
correct. So they are not at ML and AI, right? Because
Yeah.
some banks have tried and they were sued and stopped.
Okay, thanks.
Archana, go ahead. That's the last question
Thank
for today, by the way.
Okay, Mahesh, I was thinking, why would the bank not use a hybrid of it, where the initial assessment you're doing using rule-based, and then you're doing your deep analysis using ML? So initial assessment is where you're looking at the users like credit score, employment history, and things like that that are known. But then you're using the ML system to see if there's what is the risk and things that you would miss out if you would just go with the rule-based. And I have heard of like Fidelity and other means I don't know about banks, but I'm sure they have their own ML systems they are using. And if you have so many loan applicants, are you saying that you would go and use specifically rule-based? What I'm thinking is you would use a hybrid.
Yeah. So you can use anything. Given a choice, I want to use ML based, but the choice is not given to you. The government is regulating your industry, and the government has not made AI rules till July 2020, June 2024. But now they have drafted the thing, and it will be coming to picture in 6 months. And they have said anything banking which decide loan based or you're taking loan based decisions, here is a set of regulations that you have to comply. Large banks, Fidelity, which me and Priyanka were talking earlier, will be able to comply to those requirements, which says that if you made that call, please show us which model was used, how this model was trained, what are the biases values of these, and how you have came to this conclusion. Show me transparently. Here is an audit report, and then they will hire a third-party audit agency called PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they will audit that. And if they find problems in your system, they will give you a bug. And if you don't fix it in 3 weeks, your bank will be asked to stop that operation. So that's the bar. If you can meet that bar, Archana, yeah, definitely do hybrid.
Okay. I didn't know about this.
The challenge is not what the capability is. The challenge is what game we are playing and what the rules of that game. And if the government dictates the rule, stay away from it is the guidance from ML and AI community. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of bank chat not of bank GPT, right? You're
There's
seeing
one more.
chat
There's
GPT and you are seeing search GPT because the regulations are almost zero. You can chat with me, and if I say I can be wrong, please verify your facts. I can say anything I want. It's all yours. The government is saying, yeah, have fun. It doesn't disturb the whole ecosystem of the world. And same is search. I can give you any results and nobody regulates it. And same is your social media feed. I can do whatever I want with it. That's where you want to innovate first and release your products first because nobody's stopping you. And you need not to deploy or change as the government changes their rules. But if you're a bank, if you're auditing social people, if you're monitoring humans, if you're generating data on people like Palantir wants to, you will be regulated soon.
Okay. But are you saying historically they are not using ML models?
They are, right? Even today they are using ML models. It's just that
That's the problem.
that's a problem. And so far they are not being regulated, but now they are. Right. So in a year, so if you look at the AI Act in US and the EU AI Act, they have defined different categories, and for each categories they are defining requirements now you have to comply to. And only like top players can do that kind of compliance, not a bank of loans, which has $25 million budget. You're looking for $25 billion budget to have these systems going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
And they use ML models, but not for doing loan or no loan predictions. They were using loan, but then they got sued in New York, and the court actually said, if you can't explain it, you can't use it. And some banks were given notice to stop. So there's news around that. That's how I picked this case study, by the way.
Thank you for context.
Okay. Achint, you want to say the last thing before we call it a day and we'll meet? So we'll meet next Saturday. Achint, you go ahead and then I will close.
Just to add what you said, Mahesh. So, Archana, the other aspect of putting a rule-based filter on top of, let's say, an ML model would be reducing the TAM a lot for a bank, right? So the total addressable market will reduce drastically for a bank, the loan market, and that will also make that bank probably less competitive. That's happening in India as well a lot. Here in India, you have a lot of rule-based systems to define whether a particular loan should be given or not. And that's actually a regulation that has been put on a lot of banks in India. They don't want to do that, but because of regulation, they have to put a rule-based filter.
Awesome.
Okay,
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's how it should be, right? Ideally, the bank should not decide whether should I get a loan on some kind of so much knowledge that nobody can explain, because yeah, we can trust it like we trust our search, but the cost of failure is so high. Like imagine my daughter or my son doesn't get a loan just because we were born in India, even if they were born here, because they started taking this parameter of immigrants and their score at like 20 years ago, because they can take that parameter and create a feature out of it. Say, yes, this works. This is great. We could say that people who migrated, because most of the people who migrate to US may not come from India and come from other countries. And 20 years ago, their score may be really bad. So if you take that data point, that data will bias all the Indians' data, which is like very highly, restricted at the door of US. So if you take that, then you have this huge data set which buys this. And now if you start making that feature start contributing more and more to this loan application decision, then everybody's my loan is getting detected, my son loan is getting rejected, his son is getting rejected, and I can't stop the banks. Like that sounds stupid, right? So that's the idea, and I'm in for it. Okay, with that note, there's so much going on. Please keep reading. We are starting a new course. Of course, I would love to see you there. But if you don't, Archana and at least people on the cohort, I would love to see you on Friday. If I'm not seeing you on Friday, I'm doing a talk with Arjun. If you can actually put it on your LinkedIn, that would be a great favor. Thank you, Achint. Thank you, Priya Parinita. Thank you for others who put it. But if you have not put it, please put it. The link is down below. Shilan has the link. Please put it and say Mahesh is awesome. Please watch this
When are
session.
you starting your new course, Mahesh? Give us some details.
Nice.
August 17th is when we are starting it. And I mean, if you come to the sessions and you thoroughly enjoy it, help us to spread the words, so we can have more awesome people come in for debate and keep learning. Yeah.
Awesome. With all that said, please learn. I'm super excited. The Llama paper is really, really good. Facebook does a great job of simplifying things and publishing it. I'm looking forward to reading it. Let's debate it, discuss it over LinkedIn or chat. If you publish anything on Llama 3.5, expect a comment from me. Please read that paper and bring it questions in our community on ML and AI community on Slack. If you're not part of it, please ask Shilan or me. We'll add you. And let's discuss top of mind things, which are 3-4 things happened in our ecosystem, which I couldn't cover today. With all that homework and excitement, I'm going to go and we'll see you next Saturday. Bye, team.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Mahesh.